Program. Good to see you, Melanie. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Thanks for coming out and talking with us. How is the Central Illinois CEO program doing?
We are doing great. We are into our third quarter, second semester, have wrapped up our group business, and now we are working hard on business plans and preparing for our board pitch on the students' individual businesses.
Sure. I know the students were with Ben at the Farm Bureau a few weeks back, or I guess a few months back now. Tell us about the kids' class business, what they do this year.
Yes, so their class business was called Melodies and Masterpieces, and it was a plated dinner with live music. We had pianists there, and then we had a silent auction. The baskets were items donated from local businesses, and then we had an art auction, and those items were donated by local artists, and we had Mike Maskey come in and do a live auction of those, and Sean Streety was our MC for the night.
Nice, cool. Did the kids participate in terms of like whether it was music or the art put together? Did they get to have a hand in some of those things? So
the evening itself, they just executed the event so well, and I think what helped them to be so successful is that they did find these professionals or individuals who have done these types of events before to play the piano and take care of that. So they were behind the scenes working. The Decatur Club did all the serving and clearing of our food, but there was many things to do that evening. So the students, they helped present the art, but Mike took charge of, doing the art auction. The students did have a component of the program. So Sean Streety invited them up onto stage and they talked about the program and their experience in CEO. But ultimately they were doing all of the behind the scenes work. We had 194 guests. Wow. So there was a lot to be done that night and a lot to coordinate and organize. Well, and really an event unlike anything your groups have done in the past. So kind of went a real different direction this year. They did. And the cool thing is when they presented and pitched this to the CEO board back in November, which is the expectation, the board had them leave the room after their presentation. And I think the board visited amongst each other for 30 minutes trying to decide, is this too lofty of a goal? This seems extreme. This does not seem achievable. And do we stop them or do we give them a safe place to fail? Right? So they brought the students back in and they talked them through it. And I know the students were just sweating. They were like, what is taking so long to get approval? I think they thought they would pitch it and the board would be like, wonderful, move forward. And the board really pressed hard and said, we don't think your numbers are realistic. We don't think that your sponsorship goals are honorable. You need to go back to the drawing board, and we want to see you in 2 weeks with adjusted numbers, with strategies, and with some actionable things that you've accomplished to see that you are on track. So they came back in 2 weeks and presented. A few of them presented again, and then they said, we want to see you at the next board meeting 2 weeks later. Tell us again what's going on. If at any time we see that this is going off the rails, we'll pull the plug. But we want to keep you accountable. Whoa. I think that was huge. These students had to be held accountable. They had to come in and report in, not only on the financials, but here are the action steps, here are the calls we've made, here's how we're going to achieve the goals that we set. Wow. And they blew their goals out of the water. Well, and I'll tell you, that is that is unlike a testimony from any other year that you've talked to us about this process, right? Yes. I don't know. That's just, and that's very, in my head, I'm thinking, that's how it is in the real world. It is. Right? Yes. That's wow, what an experience for them. Yeah, because there was a part of the board that wanted to say, they were really, when they presented, they said, we want a fancy dinner. We want it to be cocktail attire. We want it to be a $70 ticket. And the board was like, we've never done anything to that level. How about a pancake breakfast? How about a spaghetti dinner? And they said, we've been a part of those things in other organizations. We want to level it up. We want to have a stretch goal. And they executed it with excellence. And it was a lot of fun. Well, tell me about your group this year, because, man, for them to... That is just an experience unlike, I keep going back to it, unlike anything your kids have ever gone through. So tell me about your group this year. So we have 13 students, and they are starting their individual businesses. And it's very exciting because many of them came back from Christmas break very focused and had already started prototyping their product. If they were doing a product, if they're doing a service, they've already, been purchasing the things that they need in order to execute the service. So we have a variety of individual businesses from let's see, we have permanent jewelry, we have car detailing, lawn care, lawn service. We have a couple individuals making custom items. So it might be custom to be on a piece of wood that could be like art in your house, or another individual doing engraving on coasters and things like that with your logo, or something that's your personal initials. We have an individual doing Lego reselling. So he'll be purchasing Legos from people like me who have Lego sets sitting and collecting dust in the basement. And I don't want to just give them to Goodwill because I know they're worth something, but I don't want to take the time to put them on Facebook Marketplace. So he's purchasing things like that and then reselling them to collectors after he's cleaned them up and things like that.
Oh, wow.
We also have an individual making beef jerky and then another one making cologne. So just a wide variety, I know, of exciting different things. And I'm excited to see what they do with their businesses.
And you've got 13 this year?
We do.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Where do they come from?
We have students from Warrensburg-Latham, 2 from Warrensburg-Latham. You're going to really test me on my numbers. 1 from Blue Ridge, and then doing my math in my head, 7 from Murrow Forsyth, and the rest are from Clinton.
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
So a good combination representing all schools.
Yeah.
The other thing that's cool about this group of students is, we have a student that is headed to Eastern Illinois University to be a teacher, but she wanted to enhance her leadership skills. She wanted to get a better understanding of the business world. And, she even said to one of the board members once, I'm going to be the CEO of my classroom, so this is a good opportunity for me to learn. What does it take to be a CEO?
Wow.
We have another gal who's going into cosmetology school and one day hopes to have her own salon. So she wanted to learn the business side of things. Another cool story is we have a student who entered the class thinking he wanted to be an engineer, a mechanical engineer. And he always says, it looks good on paper and it made my parents happy. That's the route I thought that I wanted to go. Got into CEO, started to see the opportunities in the world of business, and he has changed his degree to finance and pursuing college for that specific degree.
Wow.
So we have a wide variety of students and interests, and that is the cool thing about CEOs, because then you get all of these different entrepreneurial spirits with different interests and backgrounds coming together to make things happen.
And you have some kids that know exactly where they want to go and what they want to do, and you have other kids that may not have any idea, but they know CEO is just a great experience and they want to be a part of it, and maybe that provides them some direction. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, last week we did have a resume writing workshop, and we worked with Barclay Library, Michelle at Barclay Library in Warrensburg, and she helped them to write down, what did CEO mean to you? What has it meant to you so far? What skills have you learned? And when you start putting those skills and their experiences on paper, that really is helping us to accomplish one of our goals, to set them apart from their peers. So they have these amazing opportunities. They've built a network, they've built these skills, they've been exposed to lots of different industries and career paths. Now take all of this, put it together in your resume, and go out and tell people your story.
Sure. Melanie Brown, facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO program, in studio with us today. What has been, I guess, kind of walk us through, what does this program look like? Because, you're talking about kids doing a class business, and we'll talk about their individual business. You highlighted some of the ideas that they have. But they're also, you talked about they're at the library. Today they were at the bank in Clinton. They're all over the place. What does a week look like? What does the time spent in your program look like? When do they arrive to where they're going? How long are they there? Give us the basics of what this program is.
Yes, and that's always good to reflect back on, because, I can, as their facilitator, I have really high expectations and I push them, and I have to step back and say, oh, would my 16 or 17-year-old self have signed up for this and done it with excellence? So these students are committed to the CEO program to show up 5 days a week. It is their first and second hour class on their school schedules, and that means that they have to arrive at 7:15 every morning wherever we have class, and we never meet on a school campus. We don't meet on campus because we want it to be different than school. And when you take that part of the formula out, it definitely has a different feel. They're required to dress up and provide their own transportation. So a typical week is, I like to bookend our week with what we call classroom days. So on Mondays and Fridays, we have classroom days. Mondays, we look at who our speakers going to be. We do research on them, and we prepare to introduce them. Each of the students are required to introduce the speakers. We think about what can we learn from them, whether it's industry, career-based, or business concepts. And then on usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're out visiting businesses. So as you mentioned, last week we did a resume writing at the Barclay Library. Another day last week, we went to the Vault and met with Tammy there. We also had an instructor from ISU come down and do dinner etiquette with us. So we were really working on some soft skills last week. This week we were at Farm Credit with Angie Carter at the Farm Credit in Decatur, and we talked about finances and the 5 C's of credit. Yesterday we were to go to Plume, which is in Mount Zion. It's a small business. They make soaps and lotions and things like that. She has a great story. She was an accountant at ADM for years, and during COVID was like, I need something different. And she opened this store. She has been very successful. She unfortunately got called into jury duty. So we ended up.
Brutal.
And then actually, that's brutal. And then Clinton didn't have school because of the weather, and neither did Blue Ridge. So we did an online class yesterday where we just reviewed our finances. And I taught them about Calendly, an app that they can use to schedule their upcoming clients for their businesses. We went over Canva because they need to be the marketing expert for their business. So I taught them how to make posts and images for that. And then today we were with DeWitt Savings Bank learning about finances. So they are learning a lot. We say often that they're drinking from a fire hose as we are trying to cram, entrepreneurial education into 1 year.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I don't know why this came to mind, but we talk so much about the transformation of the kids from the start of the year to the end of the year in terms of, ability to speak, shake hands, look someone in the eye, those types of things. I have to ask, do you find do you have kids that come in where dressing up for a kid in the program early on probably looks very different than the way they dress at the end of the year? Or this one is actually what came to mind is, do you have kids that they come in day one, they've got Mountain Dew or an energy drink, but by the end of the program, they're drinking coffee every morning?
Yes.
Do you see that?
Yes, most definitely.
Oh my gosh, hilarious.
It is very funny. I often ask at the beginning of the year, how many of you guys are coffee drinkers? And we're going to transform that.
Wait, so your mission to make them coffee drinkers?
I do love myself a cup of coffee.
That's funny. That's good stuff. Awesome. Well, Melanie, I'll tell you what, let's take a break here. I know we'll come back, talk about recruiting. Recruiting for next year is already underway. You're in the thick of everything now, but you're already thinking next year. How do folks learn more about or follow along with all things Central Illinois CEO program?
Yes, you can go to our website at centralillinoisceo.com, or we are active on Instagram and Facebook, so you can follow along with us there. Melanie
Brown, facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO program, my guest in studio. More to come with her on The Morning Show.
WHOW.
For more information. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Steady trade with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. March corn up 1 1/4, 4.91 1/2. May corn 5.05 up a penny. New crop December 4.72 down 1 1/2. March beans 10.28 3/4 up a penny. May beans down 1/2 penny, 10.45 1/4. And new crop November 10.45 1/4 up 1 1/4. March Chicago wheat 5.77 1/4 up 3. May wheat up 2 3/4, 5.90 3/4. July wheat 6.02 1/4 up 3 1/2. March bean meal 294.30, that's up 20 cents. March bean oil 45.35 down 31 cents. Livestock market, March feeders 265.92 up 95 cents. February live cattle up 27 cents, 199.42. February lean hogs 89.17 down 27 cents. Energy market, March crude oil 71.25 down 11 cents.
Some things in life aren't fair. Xyway brand fungicides are a great example. They give you an unfair advantage against disease like tar spot, crown root rot, and more. Applying at plant protects corn before disease becomes a problem, leading to more efficient water uptake for stronger plants and more bushels per acre. No other corn fungicide protects against foliar diseases and increases ROI like Xyway brand fungicides. Talk to your FMC retailer to enjoy this unfair advantage. Always read and follow all label directions.
If the flu's got you down, the Warner Hospital and Health Services Walk-In Clinic inside Family Medicine can help you feel better fast. CEO Paul Skowron inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Melanie Brown is the facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO program. And Melanie, recruiting time is here. You know, we talk about class business, all the visits you're doing, the individual business the kids are putting together, and now you have to worry about getting ready for next year. What does recruiting look like for you all?
Yes, so we started back in January, like January 14th. The students and I went out and visited all of the schools, and they made a pitch to the sophomore and junior classes, letting them know what their experience has been like, why they should sign up for CEO, some of the obstacles that they faced before they said, yes, I want to sign up, and really just help to educate the students and the staff on it. And then applications opened and they close on February 28th. So what that looks like then is if you are interested in the program, you go to our website and you apply. It's an online application process. You're required to have 2 references as well as a letter of intent. We have also hosted Experience CEO Days, and those are days where students interested, whether they're freshmen, sophomore, or juniors, they can come to class and experience what a day in the life of a CEO student is like. So they're expected, once again, to get themselves there, to dress up, bring a notebook, be on time, ask questions, do the tour with us, meet the business owners, and just really say to themselves, could I see myself doing this every single day of the school year next year?
Yeah, for sure. So what is when you do those things, what's the response like? You know, I venture to guess most kids probably by now know what CEO is all about, but what's the response when they actually get to be a part of it?
It is so interesting because I feel like we are in the 6th year, and it's my everyday life, so I feel like everybody should know about it, or everybody does. And many of them will say, so at the end of the semester, I do a one-on-one evaluation. How has your first semester been? What are you taking away? What do you wish you would have known about CEO when you signed up that you know now? And so many of them were like, I had an idea, but I didn't fully understand it. Didn't understand the whole idea of I'm going to really have to schedule, time manage with getting up early, doing homework, having sports, that type of thing. Another one is, just getting themselves places, having to think about, okay, I got to get in my car, make sure I have enough gas, and where am I going? How am I going to get there? That's just a time management, a navigation, a responsibility situation. But
have you found financial barriers to be an obstacle for kids yet?
No, we have been very fortunate, but we also have a funding called Friends of CEO, and we have grant money that we have received that could go to assist students who need help with dress-up clothes or gas cards, gift cards, that type of thing. So it is a service that, we tell the students over and over again, if this becomes an obstacle, or if it's an obstacle for you to even sign up and eliminate, you think you need to be eliminated from this process, let us know, because we do have resources to assist with that. Yes, because we don't want it to be that type of program where it's only for those who have the means to do it.
Gotcha.
But yes, I think that then they also they had no idea that professionals and adults were just real people too. And they have this awakening of, okay, the first time they're in a room with their mentors or a room with the board, they're very,
intimidated.
They're very intimidated.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, 2 months later, they're visiting and having coffee, and I'm having to say, okay, I need everybody's attention. We got to get started with our session today, because they're engaging in these conversations. Or, oh, I emailed them last week. I went and met this guy for coffee because I'm interested in this. Yeah. So it's just so cool to see this complete awakening and observation.
Sure. So what's the process like for a student to apply for the CEO program? Because you do apply.
Yep.
And what's the deadline? What are some of the important dates coming up?
Yes. So students need to go to our website, centralillinoisceo.com, to apply. That will just take you step by step through it. You fill it out just like a normal job application. You need to have 2 references as well as a letter of intent. And then from there, the applications close on February 28th. Even if you apply on the 28th, you still have time to get your references in. We give you a little extra grace period for that. So they're due the first week of March. The CEO board will then get together, I believe, the second week of March, review all of the applications, and by the end of March, we'll send out letters to accept students. We can only accept 20 at a max, but we look for quality applicants, and we look for people who are hardworking, trustworthy, and motivated. They're doing a really good job in school. We don't look at GPA, but we want to know that, are they showing up on time? Are they responsive? Are they managing their time well? Are they respected by their peers as well as their teachers?
Yeah, for sure. So
Yes.
right around the corner are those deadlines. Anything about recruiting we didn't touch on, Melanie, or things about the program maybe students should know, parents should know, things like that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is because it's called CEO, everyone thinks, oh, I'm not interested in business, I shouldn't apply. And we, as I mentioned earlier, we have students who are pursuing other degrees such as teaching or cosmetology, those types of things. So CEO is for the undecided student. CEO is for the student who's interested in business. And CEO is for the student who says, hey, I all have my credits met. I want to build up my resume, work on my networking, and, enhance other skills.
Very good. So apply for it, centralillinoisceo.com.
Yes.
Very good. And I think, as folks hear about this program, it does take place during the school day, but I know you and I have talked about it in the past. This program is not funded through the school.
Correct.
Taxpayer dollars don't get poured into this. Speak to that a little bit.
Yes. So thank you for mentioning that. This program would not be made possible without our investors. And we have about 47 investors who commit to say, yes, I believe in the mission and the vision of this program, and I want to see the sustainability of this to be offered to, students years to come. So if you're interested in doing, getting involved, there are ways to become speakers or mentors or at the financial level investors, and you can have a conversation with myself or any of our board members. The best place to act on that is to go to our website to see who the board members are, get my email, and then start that conversation. But yeah, we are super grateful to all of our investors.
Sure. As we wrap up here for this morning, Melanie, what's kind of the next several weeks look like as the kids put together their individual business? What does that process look like for them?
Yeah, so this week was really heavy on finances because we're preparing for Banker Day. So on Banker Day, First National Bank in Clinton hosts us every year, and we have a banker representative from several different banks around the community come together. The students will present their business plans one-on-one to these bankers. So it's just like you walking in to get a loan at a bank, and you present your business plan and say, here are my financials. Would you give me this much? From there, the students will be awarded grants, and then that will give them the money to launch their own individual businesses. So then we'll start prototyping and spending the money to create the products or marketing tools or whatever they need.
Sure.
We have Shark Tank in April, and then on May 1st from 4 to 7 p.m. at Hickory Point Mall is our trade show. So I encourage you.
Already a date set.
Oh, yes, absolutely. May 1st at Hickory Point Mall from 4 to 7 p.m. Show up.
Easy enough. Very
Yeah.
good. So, again, if folks are interested or families, maybe parents interested more in this program to suggest for their kids, again, how do they, learn more? Can they ask questions of you, and how do they get a hold of you, Melanie?
Absolutely. I think the best thing first to do is to go to our Facebook and Instagram pages at Central Illinois CEO. You can see our activities every single day. You can see what the students are doing. It's a great way to connect to us, whether you send us a private message there, or you can get on our website, centralillinoisceo.com, or email me as well, and my link is on the website.
Very good. Well, hopefully we get a good mix of kids from all the districts next year, and 13's a big number. Do you want more than that next year?
I don't know. I want quality over quantity. So,
Yeah, sure.
if we have 17 rock stars like we have this year, then yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
But it all depends on, what the board is the one who looks over the references and looks over the applications and makes that decision.
Sure.
So if it's the right candidates, then yes, I'm ready for it.
Very good, Melanie. Always good to see you. Thanks for making time for us. Melanie Brown, facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO program, our guest in studio. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW